What's up, everyone? It is your girl GELBEAUTY 87 here, aka Grace, and today we're gonna get into my best palettes of 2023. So I hope you bought a drink and a snack. Or you just gonna play me in the background and listen to the palettes I talk about, because honey, it's about to be long. I'm just telling you that it's about to be long, it's about to be long, it's about to be long. But y'all see how many videos go up on this channel. Their video goes up every single day, so you had to know that this was gonna have to be a long one. So I hope you have checked in and you ready to go, because girl, I got a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with my honorable mentions, because it's me. Of course I gotta have some honorable mentions. I can't just have the best of whatever. I gotta honorably mention like 17 things. But you know, mind your business. You know, I try a lot of stuff and sometimes I don't get to go back and try some more like I would prefer. So that's why I have honorable mentions for certain things, because I thought they were good, but it's like, I don't want to say they're the best because I haven't tried it that much, but they were good enough for me to still acknowledge that they existed this year. I tried them out and thought they were okay. So that's what we're gonna start off with. So we're gonna start off with, believe it or not, the Christmas Town, the Halloween Town palettes. Y'all know I like the Halloween Town palette better. I like the Christmas Town palette, but here is what it looks like. I like the color story of this okay, and I like the look I came out with way more than I thought I was going to, so that's why I wanted to include this one in here. Plus I thought it was a good enough formula on it. It's just I didn't reach for a lot more after I initially did my video with both of these. I think I did like one more video with the Christmas Town than I did with this one. That's because I had to compare it to the Jingle Bells palette from Dede Signature, but this is what it looks like. So I like the color story of this a little bit better because it's more jewel tone, and I had been saying in the past I wanted them to do more jewel tone palettes, so that's why I ended up getting this one and just bought the other one, because I could get them both on sale during the you know, Sephora sale. So that's what I went ahead and did. Team the Fancy Face says she got these for an even better deal though on their website, where it's like $89 for both with like taxes. It was like 90 something, so she ended up paying the same amount I paid with taxes added on, so I didn't feel too bad. But the color story of this is nice. It's just I don't like those shimmers that you have to put on top of mattes in order to get any sort of pigmentation to them, or have to try to build it up quite a bit and then it makes your lids look crepey. So I personally was not as excited about this as I thought I was going to be, and I was actually more excited about Halloween Town, but I haven't reached for either one of these that much because they changed the formula on the mattes. I feel like their matte formula used to be a lot more pigmented, and I feel like with these they're like everybody else's shadows now, where you have to build them up. So that kind of let me down a little bit. I noticed that with the Electric palette as well. Okay, next one I have is actually one that's on my eyes, on one of my eyes right now. I just did a battle of this one with another palette. This is the Ensley Reign Harvest Moon palette. Now I've only done 3 looks with it because I did one look for the video I just filmed with the old school versus new school with it in another palette, which you'll see later, and then I did the 2 initial eye looks I did with the video. So it's like I like the shimmers in here. I know I like their mattes, but since I only used it those 3 times, which is literally like 2 times this week, I didn't want to put any higher, but I do want to acknowledge that I had it, that I tried it, and I thought it was nice. For the people who are interested, I do have a code with Ensley Reign. It's GELBEAUTY 87, I'm pretty sure, and I leave the link down below for anyone who's interested in purchasing the product. But you know, like, I don't want to say that I said it's the best of 2023, but I did want to acknowledge that I tried it in 2023 and I did think it was good enough to like speak on. Same thing with my Patrick Ta Major Dimension Volume 3 matte eyeshadow palette. I know he's been having issues with his shimmers getting mold in them, so I don't know if that's why he just did a all matte palette for his next palette, or if he's trying to do the Makeup by Mario route to like have an all matte palette for like makeup artists, since he's a makeup artist at the end of the day. Sorry, I'm trying to find an angle with it. Okay, there it is. But y'all know I'm not really big on these type of tones, or like, you know, having an all matte palette as a general rule. I rather have like a all shimmer palette and just pair it with some mattes. But I thought the quality of this was just as good as the other qualities on his other palettes. It's not one I'm going to reach for that often, so I didn't want to say it was the best for me, because realistically I'm not going to be reaching for this that often. I bought it to try with the shimmers and because I could get it on sale, and since I review a lot of his stuff, I wanted to add it to my collection. But it's not anything that I'm crazy about. I'm like, oh my god, yes, I have to have it. So next I have the Dede Signature Jingle Bell Ruby. I've said it right for one time. I usually say like Jingle Bells Ruby, like, you know, the Jingle Bell song, but I got it right that time, so bravo me. This is what it looks like on the inside. I love the color story of this. I definitely think it's really similar to the one from what do you call it, the one from Melt, the Christmas Town. I feel like they give me the same vibe. So I'm gonna have a video up comparing both of these sometime soon. I don't know when, hopefully before the end of the year comes, because these are Christmas palettes. But I didn't want to say I was crazy about this just yet, because I don't think I've tried every single shade in here. I tried a good majority of shades in here though, and I did want to acknowledge it, especially since the brand finally came back. She had been gone for a while, her brand came back and stopped. I will recommend the skewer palettes that she had though. I think they were like 6-pan palettes, and you can buy like a PR box of them for 50 bucks on sale right now on her website. I didn't want to talk about those because I thought those were great. It's just since I only tried this like 2 times. I did the video I told you all about comparing it to the Christmas Town palette, and then I did the initial video I gave you all. I didn't want to speak too highly of it just yet. Next, I have the Pretty Grunge palette. I know, right, a Huda palette is in here, but I literally only used it for that video. I haven't used it since because there have been so many palettes coming out and so many other things I've been having to try and things I've been wanting to revisit because I want to actually show y'all the stuff I'm thinking about decluttering this year. And it's like I want to try it out one more time to see how I felt about it. So I haven't really touched this palette since that review and that video I did. But I do like Huda's quality, and I do think the quality of this is good. It's just, I don't want to say it's the best because I haven't tried every single shadow in here to see how it performs. And you know, sometimes, since she likes to do different textures and formulas in her shadows, I didn't want to tell you all it was great, and then I found a formula or texture later in here that I didn't like when I used it some more. So that's why it's just an honorable mention. It has nothing to do with me not liking Huda's quality anymore. It's just because Huda likes to put different finishes and formulas in throughout the way. It's like, I don't want to be like, yeah, it's fire, and then I try this one formula later, like, ooh, wait, girl, no, don't buy that, don't do it. Because, you know. Next, I have the Diypansy Cosmetics Rich Romance palette. Again, this is just one I didn't get back around to again. I think I used it one more time after I did the initial video with it, and so I didn't want to say it was wonderful, it's great. I do feel like it hits the standard quality of their products. I don't feel like the quality of it has changed any. It's just I haven't used it anymore since I used it one other time after I did the look with the video, and so I didn't want to include and say it was wonderful, and I used it twice, and you know, all the other ones I've used like 3, 4, 5 multiple like times. So twice honorable mention. Their quality is still the same. They're still giving the great formula. It's just I didn't use that one as much as I've used a lot of these other things that I'm going to show you, so I want to make sure I talk about those. Next, I have the Adept Cosmetics Element 115 palette. Again, y'all know I love Adept, and there's going to be like 3 other Adept palettes in here that's in the best, so it's not that this isn't the best. It's just, again, I had so much stuff to try that I didn't get to really use this that much. I think I did 2 eye looks in that video, and I used it one more time after that. I haven't been able to touch it since because all the Halloween stuff that showed up late, like the Glam Light and all that, is just showing up now. My Devour palette just shipped off like yesterday, so I'm gonna have to try to review that. Then I have my Clarity stuff for the holidays that hasn't showed up yet, so it's like I got a lot of other things that I'm still gonna have to try out and test out. I'm waiting on the Ensley Reign holiday palette to come out, so I haven't been able to really touch this again because I've been trying to try, like I told you, all old stuff to declutter if I want it or not. So I still love Adept, and there'll be 3 more palettes in here that I'm gonna say is the best. It's just this one that they sent to me, I just didn't get as much time to play with it and love on it as I was hoping to, because everything just started coming in that was supposed to come in a while ago that everybody had on pre-order. They're supposed to get to you in like October, November because of whatever issues that their business was having. So that's it. Next, I have the Juvia's Place Afro Galactic palette. Again, I did 2 eye looks with this, and that's it. Like, I literally used this for the 2 eye looks I did in the video, and that was it. I have not touched it since. So, wait, no, I think I used it one other time since, and that was it. So, I don't think like that's a good enough for me to say it was amazing, it was wonderful. I do like the color story of it. I do think it was the standard Juvia's Place quality when it comes to their mattes and their shimmers. It was just more of, I didn't love on it enough for me to consider it as, you know. That's basically what this stack is that I'm showing y'all. I didn't love on it or use it enough for me to be able to put it in the best because I haven't used it that much. Lastly, we have the Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 5 I Am palette. This one I definitely had to include in here just because she finally stopped giving us those chrome flakes ones that you had to wet to with water or setting spray or whatever to ignite the formula to make it work for you. So I had to put this in there just because she listened to the consumer. We had said we didn't like those, and she took them out of this 3rd one. I feel like the 2nd one was in production, and that's why she didn't get a chance to take them out, because, you know, she'd what do you call it, she had already started working on the 4th one before this 5th one came out, and that's why she didn't listen. Because you clearly see she don't have a problem listening to her consumers, because the very next one that she came out with didn't have any of those shades in it. Okay, now we're gonna get into my actual favorite products. I know it's been almost 10 minutes of me just talking about honorable mentions, but I wanted to get them out the way and still acknowledge those palettes and those brands because I still did like them. I just didn't get a chance to love on them as much as I did these other things, which let you know how much I love them. So we got my Glaminatrix Into the Night palette. Y'all, if you need a dupe for the Pat McGrath Mothership 3 palette that's always out of stock, this is it for you, especially if you like color like I do, because you get this fun pop of color and this fun pop of color that you don't get in the Pat McGrath one. And the easiest way to look at Glaminatrix Cosmetics palettes I've been telling y'all is quads. Look at that. Now you got a neutral quad. Now you got this fun pink and green quad, and now you got this like kind of wild card smoky berry shade of quad. So just look at Glaminatrix palettes as quads when it comes to this size palette, and you should be fine. But I love this palette. I must have used it about 3 or 4 times this year. I think I compared it to the Pat McGrath palette, and I look, if I remember correctly, with Dion. So like I've been loving on this palette, and she's absolutely stunning, and I'm so glad that they came out with it, and I got it in my collection. So it definitely had to be in this video, because honey, it was giving I was living. So next I have the Deep Sea Treasures palette from Beaute Cosmetics. I loved this palette. The brand actually reached out to me and asked if they could use my picture that I had did with this palette in one of on their, like, I think it was their Instagram and their Facebook page. So I was so flattered that they wanted to use my picture of my eye look, and I've done at least 3 or 4 or 5 eye looks with this quad over the summer, just because I thought, I mean not quad, but this palette, just because I thought the shimmers in here were so gorgeous, till I just wanted to use them. I had to use them. Like the shade Saltwater Pearl is just everything to me. I really like the shade Fool's Gold. Like there's so many great tones in here that I feel like are just my type of shifting dual chrome, multi-chrome shadows. So this palette actually got quite a lot of use from me this summer. The next one I have, oh wait, there's a palette missing out of here. Hold please. So I can't put this with this set. I gotta put it with another set. Anyway, next we have the Sea Witch palette from Electrium Cosmetics. When I saw this palette, honey, I knew. When I saw this palette, honey, I knew. I mean, look at it. I saw my girl Dr. Ashley her makeup with it, and I was like, I had been looking at the brand and I had seen the palette. I was like, But once Ashley was talking about how wonderful it was, I was like, say less, Ashley, say less. Ashley girl, say less. I will buy it. Don't ask what, I will buy it. Oh, by the way, if you want us to buy these brands, I know what Tina the Fancy Face has a code with Beaute Cosmetics. I think it's the Fancy Face, or it might just be Fancy Face. Then I know my girl Karen Harris has a code with Dede Signature. I also have a code with Dede Signature, and my girl Dionluvsmakeup has a code with Dede Signature. So I leave Dede Signature linked down below if anyone was interested in the brand, because y'all know I love the Skewer collection. I have told you about it like countlessly whenever I talk about Dede Signature. Random side note, I'm not used to having codes, so I have to remind myself like, oh, you have it, you should actually like talk about it, because people might want to support. When it comes to Juvia's Place, I know Fumi has a code there, Fumi Design. She's done a couple of collabs with them. I know Danessa Myricks doesn't have codes, and neither does Patrick Ta. My girl Karen Harris has a code with Adept Cosmetics. It's Kate Makeup, so you can use Karen's code there as well. I don't know of anybody who has a code with Electrium Cosmetics, so I can't tell you. But honey, this palette was just giving. I was living. Y'all know these are my type of grungy color tones, and like I just feel like the artwork on this is just so stunning. I feel like it'd have been cool if it had like water bubbles on it and it had been like black instead of white, but it's cute nonetheless. And I think I want to try some more from this brand, but I haven't seen them come up with anything else or really talked about it. Like I follow them on Instagram, but I haven't really seen them talk about anything. So I'm like, what's going on over there? You know, I need another pretty palette. What are we doing over there? Is the palette coming? Is it far? Where is it? No, but next I have my GlossGods The Color of Rain palette. Now this is the first palette I bought from them, and honey, it makes me want to buy so many more. I do have a code with GlossGods, and I leave my link down below in my description box. But y'all, this is my honey, this is one of my favorite shimmer palettes of the year. Now y'all know what one of my other ones is. It's coming, just give me a minute. But yeah, like y'all know, I use this palette so many times. I gave y'all a swatch video of just the color swatch on my eyes, and then I did the eye look in that same video. So I really love this one, and I want to get some more stuff from them. They have like this they have a like more pastel-y one with some interesting shimmer shades in it. They just came out with some more that had similar shimmers to this in their Christmas collection. They have like 4 palettes. I think somebody said they originally had those palettes and then they brought them back or something to that effect. I'm not 100% sure, but they got another blue purple shifting one that I want to get. So don't be surprised if you see it pop up on the channel sometime next year. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to it this year because it's just so much stuff coming from Halloween that I'm still waiting to do reviews on, and a couple of other holiday collections I'm waiting on. Like I think I'm gonna end up ordering the Gromon Girl, so you'll have to wait for that. Next we have Lethal Cosmetics Wildflower palette. So my girl Karen Harris has a code with Lethal Cosmetics as well. If you're interested, you can use code Cage Makeup. But this is what she looks like. I think this is a gorgeous palette. It gives you a nice blue purple type of, like, you know, smoky vibe here, and then you got a nice soft like pink green vibe over here for those of you interested. So you can just look at this as a 6-pan palette if you want. You look at that side, and then you got your nice smoky side over here to create nice eye looks, which y'all know I love Adept Cosmetics. This is the only palette I actually bought from them this year, though. I'm not necessarily crazy about their holiday palette for this year, so I'm not purchasing that. I'm not going to be reviewing that for anybody who's looking for me to review it. Don't look, girl. It's just a little too, well, like, you know, colorless for my personal preference. There's not enough color involved in that palette, but I do love the brand. I'm thinking about getting that 2 Up palette now that I saw Angie do a video with it. I thought the color story looked really nice. But yeah, I'm not. Next, I have the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. If you are interested in purchasing this, I do have a link down below for Natasha Denona's website, and I actually have a code with Natasha Denona, so you can use code GELBEAUTY87 and get 15% off your purchase from her website. Anyway, this is what the palette looks like. She's absolutely stunning, amazing. I'm here for it. It's a whole vibe. Y'all see, I changed out the orange and gave myself a matte, brighter orange, believe it or not, even though y'all know I'm not crazy about orange. But I just felt like this palette need orange. So I took an orange from an old palette that I had and just stuffed it in here. So this is what it looks like. Absolutely stunning, wonderful, and amazing. So I'm happy I got my hands on this palette. Even though I have similar palettes in my collection, like the Tropical Vibes from Ace Beauty looks really similar, and then the Triad palette from Juvia's Place looks similar. I have other palettes in my collection that are similar to that, but it's like the form on that is amazing, and I think she did an excellent job curating, so I went ahead and got it because y'all know I review a lot of Natasha Denona. Next, we have the Nomad palette, the Royal York palette. Shout out to my girl Dionluvsmakeup. She actually sent me hers, so I had enough time to get it up before the palette actually released. Or the day the palette actually released, because Dion sent me hers. And you can use code what? Dion at Nomad Cosmetics. This is the only Nomad Cosmetics palette I got this year, though, besides the other Verona one that Dion sent me as well, because they had pressed pigments in them. She couldn't use them, but I wasn't necessarily a fan of that one. I really love this one, though. Like, I've used this one quite a bit, if you all remember. Like, I got my multi-chromes down here, which is really why I was going to buy this palette, because I want to see how their multi-chrome formula was going to perform. It was amazing. The colors of this palette is great. I feel like this is a great jewel tone palette and perfect for this time of year we're in now. And make sure you use code Dion when you go to Nomad's website to purchase, honey. Okay, I only got 2 more, and then I need to go get another battery. So next I have the Siren Sunset. Believe it or not, I think this was a great palette from Manny. I love the way he curated this color story. I still feel like there's a lot more neutrals in here that I would prefer, but I feel like he did a decent job of adding a decent amount of color and still having those like classic neutrals that are necessary for people who want to dabble in color but still have to go to work every day and can't wear colorful eyeshadows. I feel like he did a great job with his color story. It is similar to some other palettes in my collection, though, so I don't necessarily think it's, you know, revolutionary by any means, but I feel like it's good for his brand to dabble in some color and do something unique, as opposed to always giving us those neutrals and like 1 or 2 pops of color. We have more than 2 pops of color, and that is basically what it came down to for me. The last one I have to talk about is the Culture 2 palette. Y'all knew this was going to be in here. I love me some Juvia's Place, and whenever these Culture palettes come out, I always feel inspired to do 2 or 3 or 4 different eye looks, and I did like 2 or 3 eye looks with this after I did the 2 looks in the video, because I'm always inspired by these Culture palettes. The Wahala ones used to be my thing, but once they came out with this Culture, I was like, yes, it's giving, I'm living, I need it. So I definitely used this a few times this year, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection and love it. And I'm waiting for Culture 3 to drop. Like, where's the Culture 3? That Afro Galactic was cute, but where's my next Culture palette? Hopefully they come out with one every year from now, because I'm telling y'all, I love those. Let me go get another battery, and then we can get into somewhat of the last little portion. I ran off and left my Pat McGrath palette at home, so I'm gonna have to put that toward the end of the video. I was hoping to put it in the front with all these one-offs, but I left it, so oh well, girl, moving on. Okay, now we're gonna get into the brands where I bought quite a few palettes from them, and I love just about everyone I bought, so let's get into it. I have them sitting behind me because I didn't want them to slip off and fall, because it's actually quite a few from quite a few brands, so let's get into it, honey. So we're gonna start off with Fenty Cosmetics. So I got these 2 from them this year. I didn't buy the Fighter palette just because it was more cool tone one. I know she needs it around in her collection, but that's just not my aesthetic, so I didn't buy it. I'll probably buy it eventually just to add to my collection, because I do like the brand and I do review a lot of stuff from the brand. But we're gonna start off with the Rogue palette. This was one of the first ones that came out this year that I was in love with and obsessed with, honey. I mean, do we see these colors? Like, these colors just scream me 100%. I'm actually going to compare this against the, what is it? The Land of Enchantment from Ensley Reign when it finally gets here. Because I feel like they have some similar tones in them. Mine is like these two right here. I feel like the rest of them give definitely the vibe of that palette. And I feel like this would be a good palette to pair with that palette. Because I feel like from what I remember, that one doesn't have as many deep tones like this. It has more purpley deep tones and blue deep tones. So I figured this could add some smoke to those looks. But I loved this palette. Like, I love the shimmers in here and the colors that they shift to. I love the mattes that she chose to go along with the shimmers. I feel like this was a beautifully curated color story, and I'm so glad to have it in my collection. And it, for a little while, it knocked my Sorceries palette off itself, but then it got knocked off itself, and I'll show you what in a second. So it was with the Warlock palette. I love the color story for this so much more. I feel like this is a gorgeous jewel tone palette that she came up with, and I love the curation of the color story of this one as well. I feel like she does a great job of curating color stories for her palettes. Every color story she comes out with, just about, I love, unless it's like, you know, more on the neutrally side, which, like I said, I know she needs those to round out her palettes to have something for everyone. But it's just, I always enjoy when she does colorful fun things like this. So I was in love with this from the moment I saw it. I was like, ooh, yes, tell me more. So I've used this about 2, 3, or 4 times. I feel like I'm gonna compare it to another palette a little bit later on in another video that you'll see, but I was just obsessed and in love with this, and so glad I had it. This one feels like it's heavier than the Rogue palette, so I don't know if she like upgraded her packaging as well as upgrading the quality of her like her artwork, making it look like the same glass or whatever. But either way, I'm here for it, and I can't wait to see what the brand comes out with next year. I didn't get the Lost Library collection either, so there was a couple of collections she dropped this year that I didn't get, but I do want to try the lipsticks she came out with, and I do want to try some of her candles, so I'll probably buy those eventually. I'm just not rushing because I still got so much stuff coming in. It's just, I'm usually not overwhelmed by the amount of stuff coming in, but like this year I'm just like, look here, look here. Okay, next we have some stuff from Shroud. So I'm gonna start off with this Peaches and Dream palette. Like, as soon as I saw the Peaches and Dreams palette, I was like, yes, give it to me, I need it. I love the color story of this palette. I feel like if you move the colors around though, you can match them up a little bit better and have more of that blend bunny feel to them if you just set all the ones that are closer in color together. I wasn't doing that though, because I'm fine with it the way it is. Like, I could just look at it, switch around, jump around. The only downside to this one is this is more of a companion palette, because I feel like you don't get, excuse me, any deep tones in here to use. So this is like, this reminds me of Paradise Island from Nomad. You just have to kind of jump around, and you have to use this with another palette, because you can't use it on its own because it doesn't give enough depth for some of my skin tone. If you have a lighter skin tone, then I feel like it might work better for you. But to me, it's fine as a companion palette, because that shade Succulent, oh my goodness, y'all know the shade Succulent is like the best shade in here to me. That shade alone makes this palette worth it to me. But it is a great color story, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. Now, the next palette they came out with that I fell in love with was Moonfall. Y'all, when you see how dirty and disgusting this palette is from how much I've used, look at that. She looks very dirty and gross, because I have actually loved on this palette quite a bit. I like to pair this one with the Warlock palette I just showed you all. I like to use this alone. Sometimes I need to try it out with the Peaches and Dream palette to see what kind of looks I can come up with. That's what I always like about this brand Shroud. They have like some of the most unique and weird color stories, and I feel like it challenges you to get outside your comfort zone when it comes to making colorful eye looks, or just making eye looks in general, because it's like the colors that they initially come out with, I feel like don't necessarily pair together well, or I don't automatically just see a look with it. And that's what I like about them. Like, when I'm in the mood to want to challenge myself and give you all some new content and something different, it's like I know I can go to one of my Shroud palettes and come with a look and be like, I never thought those colors would go together, but they ended up turning out perfectly and going perfectly together. So a brand I started trying out this year and fell in love with is actually Gourmand Girl. So I love Doodles by the Bunny. I've been following her for a while. I love the faux palettes that she comes up with for brands to, like, you know, give them color story ideas and whatnot. So when I saw she had came out with this palette, I was like, I wish she had came out with a more colorful one, because, you know, like, this one is a little bit like on the neutrally side. It does have pops of color in it, but I feel like the good majority of the mattes in here are neutral. So I was kind of just like, I don't know that I really want that, because I feel like it's like being kind of played safe, and, you know, I didn't buy it right away. So I actually ended up getting this when I got the Nightshade, because the Nightshade is where she got me. I was like, yes girl, give it to me, I need it. Like, y'all know this is definitely more of a color aesthetic for me and more of a color story for me. So I was like, yes honey, it's giving, I'm living, I need it. Like, honey, when she came out with this, I knew I needed it in my world. And then she turned around and came out with the Haunted palette too, and I was like, look, okay Doodles girl, you're out here doing everything, huh? You're just doing it all. So I know a lot of people think this one looks similar to Nightshade. I'll show them both side by side, and they do give off some similar vibes. You know how it's like they're not sisters but they could be cousins? Like that's the vibe this palette gives me. Like it's cousins to this one for sure, because they have somewhat similar tones to them, but I feel like they're unique enough to where you can still have both if you choose to. I know my girl Karen Harris has a code with them. It is Cage Makeup if anybody's interested, but I've been enjoying all the palettes I tried from this brand, and I can't wait to see what they come out with next. I know she came out with a Silent Night palette with them, so I'm probably going to go ahead and pick up that one as well, just to round off the year for me and all the palettes that I tried. But that's probably not going to be in this video, because if I order now, I think it might come after Christmas. I don't know if it'll come in time for Christmas or not. But next, of course, y'all know I had to put Adept in here. So like I said, I had other palettes from Adept that I had tried and used more that I wanted to showcase. So don't think the Adept wasn't gonna be in here, because with all the fire and banger eyeshadow palettes they came out with this year, how was they not gonna be in here? Like that just, there's no way. There's no way. So I'm gonna start off with Arrow Inspired. This was the one that knocked Minka and Enhydrin off their thrones, just because I was like, look at this. It's blue, green, and purple, like shifting shades and mattes. What is there not to love? And then you got this nice like little wait, no, color right here that's pink that turns to green. Like, I mean, everything in here is just a dream come true, chef's kiss for me. I compare this with so many other blue, green, and purple palettes in my collection to get like deeper tones for that outer V, and I have all these wonderful blue, green, and purple shimmers to pair with other palettes. So I was just like, yes, yes, give it to me, yes, yes, yes. So then my other favorite came along, and I was like, look, every time they come out with a palette, I feel like it just dethrones another palette, because they just come up with such great things. And then my Seahorse palette came out, so y'all knew my Seahorse was gonna be in here. Like, this is probably, this is easy like top 3, top 5 of my Adept palette obsession. She's giving, I'm living. I use this so often this summer with so many different palettes, just because I feel like the shimmers in here are so unique and wonderful. This to me is definitely a great spring and winter palette, because that's when I like pastels, and to me these are more pastel-y shimmers, so I feel like that's the perfect time to use these. I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. So she's gonna get a lot of use from me coming up this spring. She might get a lot of use this summer as well. I don't know that I'm gonna get to be able to get back and use it a lot more at the end of this year, but you know, like, she's gonna get used. Don't ever be confused. I'm getting my money's worth out of her. So the last one I have is Sumerian Sunset, and this is what she looks like. I feel like this one would be great to pair with the Harvest Moon palette I showed you all earlier. I can just think of a lot of palettes I'm going to pair this one with, because again, since Adept does never give you that many mattes or whatever, I feel like it always has to be paired with something else to get more mattes. I mean, you can still do a look with the mattes that are in here. It's just, if you want more detail in the crease and things like that, I feel like you have to go outside of here, because it's like you either have to put this red on the outer V, or you have to put this red in the crease, and then this is the only deeper shade you have for the outer V. And I feel like, although it does oxidize, it's like I don't always want a green outer V. Like, I might want a bright green outer V. I want a deeper red outer V. So it's like, I feel like I compare this with a lot of palettes. Like, I want to pair this with, I think I paired this with the Trick or Treat palette already. I'm pretty sure I did. Or I want to pair it with that. I feel like it'll go great with that. I just love the color story of this, and I feel like it's great for the fall time. So it came out at the perfect time, and I did use it quite a few times in the fall. So I had to include it, because it was just, it was doing wonderful things. So, oh crap, I forgot a one-off palette. Oh, so I got the Clarity Aloha palette. If you all remember, I was iffy about this when I first got it. The first look I did what I didn't like, but then I ended up doing another look with it that was great, and I've been pairing it with a few other palettes. So the thing with me, I paired this with quite a few other palettes to get nice eye looks. Like, I paired this with my Seahorse palette I just talked about, and it got some great looks with it. So this, to me, this is a palette that can be used alone, or you can pair it with other palettes. I just found myself pairing it with a lot of other palettes, but I still did nice looks with it on its own, so I figured I could go ahead and include it in here. I'm waiting on like 2 or 3 palettes to come from them, like, for me to try out and see how it goes. So hopefully I like those as well. The thing about that brand is I feel like they're kind of iffy when it comes to like formulas sometimes, at least personally for me. So that's why for the longest time I would try them, but I like wouldn't try them on camera or try them with you all, because I was just like, I don't know if it's gonna be the good formula or the bad formula, because it gives me like kind of milk vibes when I try this stuff. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So, but my girl Dr. Ash and her makeup has a code with them if you're interested, so you can use code Dr. Ash at Clarity Cosmetics if you want a discount. Oh, she has a code with Glaminatrix as well. That's what I meant to say, because I knew somebody had a code with Glaminatrix. So Dr. Ash has a code with Glaminatrix as well. So you can use code Dr. Ash at Glaminatrix. You can use code Dr. Ash at Clarity Cosmetics. Now on to Cosmic Brushes. So you can use code KH Makeup at Cosmic Brushes. And these are the 3 palettes they came out with this year. And I liked every single one of them. So we're going to start with the Muse palette. Honey, like, to me this is like a gorgeous fall palette. It is perfect for fall. I live for it. I've done at least 3 or 4 looks with this palette. And the brand always likes my pictures when I post the looks of the pictures of the looks I did with these palettes, which I'm always flattered by. I love this palette. The color story is just amazing for fall. It's the perfect time of year to use this. And then they have, I feel like they just have great rounded color stories and affordable price points for the quality of their product, which I don't know how she does it, but you know, like, I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna be glad it's affordable and used, especially since it's in another country, because sometimes stuff in another country would be getting outrageous. And even with the shipping, I think with the shipping and Karen's discount code, it's only like $37 for this palette. And like, you know, that's amazing for the price point and the quality of these palettes. So next we have Delicious Delights. I mean, the shade Sprinkle alone just makes this palette amazing and worthy to me. Like the shade right here, Sprinkle, like, y'all, it shifts amazingly to like a green and all that. It's just stunning. The only downside of this palette to me is you only have this deep purple on the outer V. And I know Angie's palette showed up with the purple outer V shade Broken. So it's like, you know, if I don't want to use a dark purple on the outer V, I don't really have anything else I can use. I mean, I guess you can try to use this shade right here, the outer V shade, and maybe try to push this blue to be dark enough. But I feel like a lot of these shades are more like mid-tone shades. So to me, this is one that I would have to use as a companion palette to pair with other things, unless I want a dark purple outer V for whatever look it is I'm going for. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just something you have to think about with this palette. But since it's so affordable, and if you're a palette addict like I do, you have other palettes you can use it with. Like, I would just pair this with the Blend Bunny Surge palette, or the Blend Bunny Blends palette, or the Blend Bunny Primal palette, or the Blend Bunny Machina palette that just came out. Like, there's plenty of palettes you can pair it with. And since Blend Bunny started off with a lot of mattes in her palettes, like, you can literally just pair this with the Blends palette and get all the tones you need for the darker shades in order to pair it with the lighter shades in here and the shimmers in here and call it a day. So that wasn't that big a deal to me, although I still use it quite a bit on its own. But I did pair it with other palettes as well for outer V deepening shades. The last one we have to talk about is the Winter Wonderland palette. So I recently did a video on this one. I gave y'all 2 looks with this palette. I think both the looks were stunning. Y'all know these are my types of tones. I love me a blue and purple moment easily, and I like the fact that some of these shades shift to different colors. Like the shade Atmosphere shifts to a lot of different shades, which is just very stunning. I don't think I use the shade Atmosphere though, from what I remember. Don't quote me though yet, because I feel like I used Reflection and Winter Solstice in the looks I did. But you know, this is an absolutely stunning palette. Again, it has the great formula that you know and love. It just depends on what color story you like. I feel like which palette you should get from this brand, but I feel like all the palettes from this brand are amazing. The only one I have not tried is the, I think it was called Royal Rose. That's the one I never got. That was the first palette they came out with, and the second one from then on, everybody was just in love with and enraptured with and crazy about. So I'm real close to the end, y'all. I swear, I'm real close. I got like, I think 3 or 4 brands more to talk about. That's it. So we gonna into my Ensley Reign collection. So this is the first palette I tried from Ensley Reign. This is Strawberry Moon. Again, I told y'all I have a code with Ensley Reign, and I leave them linked down below in my description box if you're interested. But this is the palette that I saw from them, and I was like, ooh, hold up, wait, what? I thought the color story of this was absolutely stunning. I thought the shimmers in here were amazing. I always notice how they only have 1 row of mattes though. But I think they, for the most part, do a good job of what tones of mattes they choose that will go best with all the shimmers that they put into the palette. My only thing is, again, sometimes I feel like they don't have enough diversity in their matte tones. Like, I feel like there's a lot of pink and there's a couple of purples and a blue. But I don't know, I guess I wanted a little bit more when it came to color as far as mattes to pair with these. So it's okay though, you can pair them with different palettes. Like I said, Blend Bunny has a whole palette of just mattes that you can pair with, and in the future I'll probably pair with those. But so far I've only used this palette on its own, and it's worked for me pretty well. I think I might have paired it with another palette one time, don't quote me, but these palette is stunning. Their palettes are stunning. They have amazing quality, and the only thing is their price point is a little bit high, so you definitely want to use somebody's code if you're interested in purchasing from them, or see if they're gonna have a sale. I don't know if they had a sale for the holidays or not, so don't quote me. I'm not even gonna tell a lie. I'm not 100% sure. So next we have the Twisted Tea Party palette. Y'all know I love Alice in Wonderland, so y'all know I was picking this up. Like, look at the artwork of him, and then they have the coolest artwork at the top of the cat that says "We're all mad here." I'm just like, yes. And then this color story, honey, it's giving I'm living. I feel like this will actually pair really nicely with the Strawberry Moon palette, because you have these nice greens and some more purples and blues that are of different tones than the ones in there, that you could pair nicely with these. So I'm thinking I'm gonna actually pair this with the Strawberry Moon, because I feel like it gives me the vibes that they could be paired together and end up having really nice eye looks. I never thought about that before till I showed them, like, you know, back to back or whatever. But yeah, honey, yes, yes, yes. And I'm still just on this packaging alone. Like, this packaging alone, you can actually buy this palette alone if you're interested in purchasing it. You can buy it alone and it'll be like a magnetic palette, and it'll still say "We're all mad" at the top. If I remember correctly, it's just like a plain black magnetic packaging in the background, though it won't have like the names of the shades and the little holes to pop the stuff out of. But what I like about this brand too is you can pop out the shades. Now when it comes to this palette, I don't think you can, unfortunately. The Strawberry Moon, not that I want to take it out or change anything, but like, I just hate when brands sometimes like you can take it out and sometimes you can't. It's like, let me take it out or don't let me take it out at all. Oh, with the Adept ones, you can take those out as well, because I redid my La Cienega palette and took some of the shades out of the Amulet New palette to kind of create a new so I was going to show that in another video, but I figured I'd share it with you since I was telling you about Adept being able to switch out. So next we have Glam Light. So we have the Scooby-Doo and Glam Light palette. This is the one from their full Scooby-Doo collection that came with that makeup bag that I have. This is what it looks like on the inside. At first I was kind of confused about the color story, because they say it's supposed to match up with the characters or whatever, and like little clusters are supposed to be for each character according to row or something like that. So like this one is supposed to be Freddy's row, I'm told. This one I think is, wait, no, this one's supposed to be Scooby's row, and this one's supposed to be Freddy's row, and this is supposed to be Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy. Because at first I was confused, like, how are these rows set up? Because the cartoon characters aren't necessarily next to the row that they're supposed to be in on the background, which is what confused me. But one of y'all explained it to me a couple of times and then I got it. But I love the color story of this palette. I made a lot of nice unique looks with this palette, and at first when I tried it, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be feeling about it, but using it more and more, I definitely grew to love it, and that's how it ended up in this video. Now, one palette when I first saw it, I knew I was going to love it, is the Rick and Morty collab with Glam Light. Now again, I don't agree with the DA or the, what is it, V, I think it's DA and SA allegations that came up against the person who was a part of Rick and Morty. I think he played the voice of Morty or Rick. I forgot which one it is, don't quote me, but I don't agree with that at all. And I think that's why they just discontinued and then sent the rest of them to TJ Maxx. So people have found this palette in TJ Maxx. I didn't find it in my TJ Maxx because I'd have definitely threw it in the giveaway, because I'm telling y'all, this is one of my all-time favorite Glam Light palettes. I think this color story is amazing. I think the formula of this is really nice. I feel like you can come up with a great variety of looks. If you all remember, I gave you all 3 looks with this palette because I thought that it was that beautiful and it just inspired me that much. So I definitely recommend this palette. If you find it at TJ Maxx, snag it up with the quickness. If I find it at TJ Maxx, I'm gonna snag it up with the quickness and throw it in a giveaway in the future, because it's just a gorgeous palette. It's just unfortunate that it was collabed with a person that thought it was okay to have those kinds of issues. I don't want to get into too much. I don't want them demonetizing me for talking about it, because I hear they be doing stuff like that when I be watching people who do commentary videos. So that's why I was using initials and whatnot. So second to last is Eye. So as you can see, I got quite a few Eye palettes to talk about. So let's get into them, honey. So we'll start off with the Planet Spirit palette from Eye and Betty Jean. I love this palette. Out of all the palettes they came out with that collab, this one was my favorite, which y'all know I'm a colorful girl, so I just look at it like this. Like, you get the little sunset moment over here that she created, and then you got the you know, the more pink and green moment when it comes to the color story, which I think is gorgeous. And I like to pair this with Tina the Fancy Faces palette because it gives me an excuse to use Tina's palette. But I really loved Betty Jean's palette the best out of all of them. Unfortunately, it was just I didn't have any deeper outer V shades to use to create eye looks with, but I usually use the green on the outer V and then just put the pink in the crease and use these shimmers to create my look. So it wasn't too bad for me. However, I'd have preferred some deeper outer V-tones, but it gives me an excuse to use Tina's palette, so we're all good over here. Then, of course, y'all know I had to include the Christmas Eve Merry Christmas palettes, especially since they brought them back out. As soon as Karen started hinting about a brand bringing something back, I already knew she was talking about this. I don't even know why. Random side note, you can use code FANCYFACE at Udenzai, or you can use code Cage Makeup at Udenzai. But this is what it looks like. The shade Gorgeous to me is like the bread and butter of this palette. Like, Gorgeous is just everything in here. I like this light blue shade of Nightfall. I think they get a gorgeous color story when they created this palette, and I love it. I'm glad I can use it more because they came back out with it again, because I wasn't using it for a while because I didn't want people feeling some type of way. I know y'all told me y'all fine with it, but it's like I know some people aren't, and I'm like, it's not that deep. I can just, you know, like use some other stuff. I have like a plethora of palettes. We all know, because you just got done watching all my eyeshadow palette collection videos. There's like 5 of them. That shows you how much eyeshadow I have. But next we have Merry Christmas. I actually like Merry Christmas more than I like Christmas Eve, which I didn't think was going to be the case at all. But you have a nice little green moment up here if you just want to do a quick green monochromatic moment, and then you have a nice like smoky red neutral tone if you want to do it. Or you can look at it as a quads. Again, like I told you in the past, like there's a quad right there, eyeshadow, there's a quad right there, eyeshadow, and so on and so forth. So you can look at them as little quads within a palette, or you can just look at the palette as a whole as like half the color story like this and half the color story like that. But this palette is everything. I loved pairing this with another palette I'm going to show later on. I have paired these palettes with the new holiday palette. Speaking of which, the next holiday palette I have to talk about is the Hey Reindeer one. I really loved this one. Like, of the two, when I initially saw them, I knew this was going to be my favorite, because the Snow Dream just wasn't doing for me. It's just a little bit too light and too ashy for my personal preferences, but it does pair nicely with my Merry Christmas palette, so I guess I could include it. But it's like I don't plan on like having to put both of them together and using it that often, so I didn't want to do that. But I knew I would use this one on its own, or I would use it with some other palettes as well. And I would prefer to be able to talk about stuff where I know I can use it on my own, its own, in addition to using it with other things. Now, with all shimmer palettes and stuff, obviously that's not going to be the case, but you know, it's cool. I really just love the color story of this one a lot. Again, you got a nice little icy blue, smoky color you can use, or you got a nice orangish red one you can use, and then you have like a nice little shimmers up here. You can do a nice little cute pink light blue moment, or you can do whatever. So like I said, look at these. It's quads if you're not sure on what direction to do with the color story, and you should be okay. But this one is the one I prefer of the two new holiday ones, and the old holiday set has already sold out again. So I hope you got your hands on it this time, or it's gonna be on my card trying to buy it from somebody else again at a ridiculous price, which you should not be doing. Next, I have the Udenzai and Angelica Nikovic Trick or Treat collection. I mean, Halloween collection. This is the Trick or Treat palette. This is the one I pair with the Merry Christmas palette, because I feel like it gives me the vibes of the Merry Christmas palette. Not 100%, because there's not a whole dedicated green section and then like a red section at the bottom. It's more orange, green, red, if you will. So if you didn't get your hands on that palette, I feel like you can get your hands on Angie's Trick or Treat palette, and they'd be similar. Now, I don't know if this one is sold out, so don't quote me. I know she said it was supposed to be 30% off. I don't know if it was supposed to be this one or the original Hella palette, and then they were getting rid of it, but I think she was saying it was this collection. So this is what she looks like. I think it's stunning. I think it pairs nicely with the Merry Christmas palette, or you can use it alone. I like to do both, just depending on how I feel. Next, we have the little Ghost palette. Now, y'all know this was my favorite out of the two. I actually want to pair this with the Hey Reindeer palette that I just showed you all, because I feel like they'll go nicely because of the yellows and the purples in here to go nicely with those oranges and pinks and blues and the Hey Reindeer palette. So I'm definitely planning on pairing both of these together, and I plan on using this alone some more. I just think this is a gorgeous palette. I think I've paired this with the Strawberry Moon palette as well. So I've paired this with a lot of palettes in addition to just using it on its own, because I feel like it's good to pair with palettes or use alone. It's just a stunning palette, and I'm so glad she came out with this. It does give me vibes of her Kaleidos collection though. It just doesn't have the greens in there, but I showed those side by side when I did my comparison palette video. So I love both of those palettes. Let me go grab the rest of the palettes and then we'll round it off. I got Pat McGrath to talk about, and then I got some Blend Bunny to talk about, and then we should be good to go. Okay, y'all, so we on the last palettes to talk about for the best of 2023. So I have my Sugar and Grunge palette from Blend Bunny. This is what she looks like on the inside. Out of all the palettes she came out with this year, this was my favorite color story. So this was one I chose to pick out of, aside from one other one that of course y'all feel like nobody should be surprised about. But this one I really love and I'm excited about. Adriangameover just knocks up on the floor. But yeah, this color story is definitely up my alley. Y'all know I like pastels, but I like the fact that it's like different forms of shades to go with the pastels. It's not just the pastels and I have to like try to pair it with something else, like the what Sickly Sweet. I feel like it's more of a pastel and you still have to find other shades to pair it with, or maybe it's just a chaotic color story that does that to me. But I really like this one, so this is the one I'm saying is one of my best ones from Blend Buddy. The last one I have to talk about, of course, I feel like no one should be surprised. I got the Troll Quad and the Lure palette from Blend Buddy. So these are my favorite ones from Blend Buddy this year. This is the Troll Quad. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's a nice little set of shimmery quads, of shades with shimmers that work out quite nicely on the lid. If you wanted to try some dual chromes or some multi-chromes and you didn't want to have a whole bunch of singles and you want a little palettes you could go to grab and do a look with, I feel like this would be nice for you, especially if you're someone who doesn't use these shades that often. You don't want to have to buy a whole bunch of random singles and then look for them and do all that. You can just grab this little palette and go. So it's convenient and nice for that. Then we have the Blend Buddy Cosmetics Lure palette. Y'all know, as soon as I saw this, I told y'all before, I was jealous. Everybody's on Blend Buddy's PR list when I saw this palette, because I was like, this palette is screaming, living, and breathing me. Like, I mean, all these tones are definitely the tones I normally gravitate toward and use. Y'all know I love me a blue moment. I like the fact she get two different sets of blues. So you got the traditional blues, then you got more of the turquoise blues, then you got this green, and this purple, and this pink. So I feel like the pinks and greens can go nicely together, and I can do my blue, green, and purple situation as well. And then you can do a simple smoky eye with the purples if you want, and you can just play all around this palette. So this palette is my all-time favorite Blend Buddy palette. All the Blend Buddy palettes I own, this is my favorite. So I definitely have to show it in my favorite. So I meant to show my McGrath palette, but I already packed it up, and y'all, my bag is packed like to the brim, like to the point where like if I try to pull anything out, I have to take like 20 things out just to get to that one thing. So I can't show the Mothership 11, but just know I count the Mothership 11 in here as well, and that's the last palette I would have talked about had I not already put it up. But I had forgot I didn't film this last part because I had to bring all the palettes back just to rank them. So I've been literally sitting here for like 4 hours just filming because I had to rank all the palettes. Then I had to end my video I did on my eyes, on my battle of the color correctors day 1, and then I had to turn around and finish this part off, finish my makeup haul video off, and then I still had an eyeshadow video look I want to do, but I'm like, I don't even have time because it's like 3 something in the morning. I still gotta go to work tonight. So I'm like, honey, it's a lot. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all the diamonds. You can comment down below and tell me if you agree with my best palettes 2023 or not. If you do or if you don't, why or why not. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.